I want to go back to something you just said. I'm going to make this very clear. I am not a CWD expert, and in fact, part of the dynamic of this podcast is I'm a 33-year-old guy. I've only been hunting for 3 or 4 years, so I'm relatively new to this lifestyle and all these things, deer hunting, that is, for 3 or 4 years. So about a month ago, you were at the Water, Oceans, and Wildlife Subcommittee hearing. You got a chance to speak, and part of your testimony, if you will, was CWD not only affecting the deer herd itself, but affecting, more of, I guess I'll just call him a casual hunter, someone who just sees this thing growing, doesn't know how to deal with it, and just becomes disinterested in the sport itself because the CWD epidemic is just too big to deal with and they don't know where to start. Do you see that leading to a decline in hunters in the long run?
That's a really good question. We know that some people that were about to quit hunting anyway have quit hunting, and they say, well, it's because of CWD. I think that's a very tiny percentage. I think that people were already on their way out the door for various reasons, and that was just made it easier for them to tell people they weren't going to do it anymore.
Right.
But that being said, we mentioned Wisconsin. I mean, I've gotten emails from people that say we shot 7 bucks on our farm this year, and they all 7 tested positive for CWD. I could see why those people would want to say, you know what, I'm getting out of the deer hunting hobby. But at any rate, so CWD is not just a deer disease, and this is something I focused on at the congressional hearing, and that is that when you look at where the money comes from to manage all wildlife in the country, it really, other than state budgets, it comes from 2 really big places. One of those is funds derived from the Pittman-Robertson Act, which is a tax that a lot of people listening might not even realize they pay when they buy a firearm and they buy ammo and certain hunting gear. And it also comes from the sale of licenses. And then when you further extrapolate that out, and you see that 80% of all people who buy a hunting license are pursuing big game, and most of those people are pursuing deer. And if you start cutting into the number of people participating in deer hunting, you are directly cutting then funds that go to manage all wildlife. Because of deer, for all intents and purposes, deer are carrying the weight of all wildlife conservation in North America on their backs.
Yeah, they do drive the bus for sure. I mean, they drive the whole industry.
Yeah. So we can't have this massive loss of hunters, and then not expect it to have a really negative impact on even if you're a bird watcher, CWD affects you. Okay, it affects the management of threatened and endangered species. So it's an everyone issue, but at the same time, again, deer hunters, if you're listening to this and you're kind of on the fence, I mean, I just want you to say, you know what, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to be a leader on this deal. And I'm going to embrace the fact that deer carry the weight, and I'm going to embrace the fact that I'm a deer hunter and that I have an opportunity to lead here. And I'm going to do what's asked of me. I'm not going to be afraid to ask questions. That's okay. But for the most part, I'm going to do what's asked of me, and I'm going to try to do my part, and I'm going to convince my friends to do the same. And what is looking like a really scary situation for the future of deer and deer hunting right now might actually turn out to be one of our brightest moments.